The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NBA.
Billy Donovan signed a contract extension with the Chicago Bulls for multi-years.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast.
Billy Donovan signed a multi-year contract extension with the Chicago Bulls. We heard about this going down about a month ago, but the Bulls actually officially announced it, which is unexpected because keep in mind, Pat, the contract that he's on currently was still never officially announced, but we do know the extension is going to be there. Multi-years, the exact number of years has not been released. How you feeling, Pat?
Well, I think based on what we thought we knew about the contract, right, because of the whole Kentucky thing, he was on the last year of his deal pretty much. So extending him was going to be a conversation no matter what. I think the Knicks blew up the spot. F y'all. Like, just standing F New York in general, but a special F you to the Knicks. Like, that was insane that y'all called while somebody had a job. It was like, hey, can we take that guy that has a job in your organization and like
4 different people? Like, that's the crazy thing.
Wild as heck, bro.
It's like sliding in married women's DMs
that's
all day.
Literally what they did, bro. That's literally what they did. And dare I say, this is the happiest marriage of all. Like, these mothers are not breaking up. As Bulls fans are distraught everywhere. This is one of the marriages where even the kids is like, please break up. Like, y'all, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. But I think, you know, the bottom line on all of this is there was an extension in my mind that I expected to come, especially if, and I think this is the part where it's tough for me, where I see so many people upset. If you wanted Josh Giddey to re-sign here, if you want him to get the money, that situation probably happens more than likely if Billy Donovan is re-signed here. Mm-hmm. Because why would Josh Giddey want to come into a situation where you've got a new head coach, a new system being put in place, maybe not a system that fits his game very well. Right now, Billy's system fits Josh Giddey's game just about perfectly. It's just about getting the dollars about, right? Like, that contract can get done. It's just a matter of $10 million getting figured out. But this is what I expected to happen. I know people are upset about it. The bottom line is there's not that many people you were going to go out there and replace Billy Donovan with. When people are going, this is the worst case scenario. No, the worst case scenario is you fire Billy Donovan, then you hire Mike Budenholzer or Frank Vogel. That's your worst case scenario.
Same guy.
Now, am I sitting here telling you this is the move that I wanted to see? No, I would rather you find a way to find the next young head coach who is the next Taylor Jenkins, or go get Taylor Jenkins. That would be my preference. But when we're talking about this being a bad situation for the Bulls to be in, all of you guys who were excited about the great second half of the season that Josh Giddey had, Billy Donovan was the coach. The step that we saw from Modest Buzelis in that part, Billy Donovan was the coach. How much of a role Lyle had to take on and how he actually was pretty good at it, Billy Donovan was the coach. There's all these things that we sit here and come on and talk about how excited we are about what this Bulls team could be. Billy Donovan's been the coach of it. You can't have it both ways.
That's a fact. I mean, no, there's no doubt about that. You can't have it both ways. You can't look at what went right. And that's something that people do a lot when it comes to Billy Donovan. They blame him for everything that goes wrong. And then when things go right, they try to take it. And keep in mind, I'm not a Billy Donovan. Me and you've had some heated debates on Billy Donovan. Most people know I'm not a Billy Donovan guy, but I am
and
fair.
Both of us will rejoice the day he's fired.
Like, that's a fact. That's a fact. But you have to be fair. The Bulls' new style of play that is more modern and has fit this roster, you don't get that by happenstance. That's Billy Donovan. Yeah. The plan for Modest we were all frustrated Modest wasn't playing more minutes early, but guess what? Modest came out and said, you know what? No, looking back on it, I can see what they did, and they didn't put on too much on me, and they made me earn it. Guess who came up with that? Billy Donovan was the coach who came up with that. Now, does that mean that we overlook some of the shortcomings of Billy Donovan? No, hell no. But I do think, and I said this over on Central, Pat, and you let me know how you feel about it. I do think that now it seems like, based off what we know so far, they got a lot they need to prove, much like a Kobe and Giddey backcourt. They got to prove they can do it for a full season. But the mix of this coaching staff with Billy Donovan, Wes Unseld, and Dan Craig, I like the mix of coaching philosophies here, and I am kind of interested to see how can they build off on it now with another year, learning these players better and adding some defenders that you do need too for Wes Unseld. We know Wes Unseld coached the defense, and see what Wes Unseld does with that. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to have professional coaches. I'd rather have some more championship coaches on this roster. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love for Mike Budenholzer to be an assistant coach on this team. I would love for Frank Vogel to be an assistant coach on this team. That's how the Warriors keep doing it really well and continue to find winning situations as they put great coaching staffs together. I know we think about that more in football terms than we do in basketball terms. But you do need that. Guess what? The Boston Celtics attribute how they got the championship and their intensity not to Doc Rivers. They say he was a big part of it. He was the leader, and he was the one that knew how to fire everybody up. But it was Tom Thibodeau that coached up that defense and made them one of the best. No, they were the best defense in basketball that year. So, was my bottom line when I talked about this on Chicago Bulls Breeze Hayes. Like, no matter what, Billy Donovan is not a bad enough head coach that we can overlook the roster building that is going on here. Right? Like, if you're Jim Boylan, it don't matter. I could give you a championship roster. You'll find a way to F it up. Right? Jim Boylan can mess up a wet dream. Like, he's just that kind of coach. You need top-tier talent to win in the NBA, no matter what. Let me ask y'all this, everybody in the chat and you. Are we in agreement? Greg Popovich, probably greatest NBA head coach of all time?
Yeah.
Greg Popovich didn't get out of the first round since 2017 because the talent wasn't there. And on one of those teams, because people are going to come, Pat, he had Zach, he had Vooch, he had DeMar. He had De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, and LaMarcus Aldridge and couldn't get out of the Western Conference first round.
When did Pop have De'Aaron Fox?
Huh? Not De'Aaron Fox. I'm sorry. Who was old boy that was in got traded to Atlanta? I tweaked on that one. Oh my God. Why am I blanking on his name? We wanted him here. Him and Zach are best friends.
Oh, DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray, I'm sorry. He had DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, and LaMarcus Aldridge and couldn't get out the first round. He's the greatest NBA head coach of all time. He also hasn't won more than 35 games in 6 years. He's the greatest NBA head coach of all time. Talent matters. Bottom line. You give Billy Donovan top-tier talent, guess what? He could take it to the Western Conference Finals. He did Western Conference Finals. Will he win your NBA championship? I don't know about that. I don't think so. But the everything is Billy's fault is a crazy mindset to have, and it's why I'm not that upset about the extension if the players pan out.
And I think that I do think that re-signing of Billy Donovan kind of points to that. AK and Eversley do look at this roster as not being in you know me, I firmly believe once the Bulls feel like they have a roster, that they get the roster to a point and they're like, well, hell, it's not the roster, so it's Billy, you got to go. That's when Billy's going to leave. But we got a long way to go before we get there. And that's not to say, again, that I don't think Billy should leave. Again, I'm going to rejoice when we do fire Billy Donovan. But again, one thing I'm not going to be is unfair and turn a blind eye to things. And you know, I kind of realized where we are. This extension didn't surprise me at all.
It didn't change anything for me either. Listen, Hayes, if we had Anthony Edwards on the roster, I'd be like, this is the dumbest thing you could have ever done. And we're winning 32 games. Ain't no Ant-Man on this roster. It's not a John Moran on this roster. Heck, there's not even a Trae Young chucking up 60 shots a game on this roster. You got to get to that point. You got to build that up.
What do you mean? We have Javon Carter. Pat, how dare you?
I will drive to where you are.
Yeah. We have Javon Carter. How dare
Javon
you?
Carter.
How dare you, Pat?
That'll be one of them fights where it's like, I had to do it. It's not even I want to, but off principle, we got to make this happen. Nah, man, it's just I think that part of it where people have kind of like taken this to the like, this is the worst thing that the Bulls ever could have done. It's not. It's a regular extension. It's one that we all expected. It's not one that's the end of the world.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Memphis Grizzlies guard Scotty Pippen Jr. joins us to talk the offseason so far.
You are Locked On Grizzlies, your daily Memphis Grizzlies podcast.
Memphis Grizzlies, Scotty Pippen Jr. will be with us for the first part of the show. We're very excited to have you with us, Scotty. How are you doing?
I'm doing
today?
well, man. Appreciate you guys having me, so I'm glad we're able to do this.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you, Scotty. Shout out to Scotty for following
Yeah.
through. He told me, so shout out to you for coming on the pod, man. They've been telling us to get a couple of the guys on here, so we're glad we could get you on here for sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's lead off with what you've been up to this summer, Scotty. I know you have a couple of camps coming up. I know DeMichael might talk a little bit more to you about that as well. But just what are some things that you're doing in Memphis, Nashville, the Tennessee area? How are you keeping busy this summer?
Yeah, so this camp's been something I've been thinking about a long time. Thought about it last summer, but didn't feel fully established in the city in Memphis yet. So I thought, after my last year, having a pretty good year, and how the time was right now, I wanted to give back to the city. So having a camp in Memphis, free camp, just wanted to give back, and then going back to Nashville, where I went to school at Vanderbilt, wanted to give back to that community as well. So I thought, why not knock out two cities in the same state that I've been playing for the last few years.
But I was at church a few weeks back, and somebody came up to me at church and was like, my little brother's gonna be at Scotty's camp in a few weeks. And I was like, oh, okay. And that wasn't the first time that somebody came up to me. But you just mentioned a couple of the details just for the listeners. What else you can add? We know the Memphis camp is July 31st and August 1st. And I believe the dates in Nashville is August 4th and August 5th. As you mentioned, the Memphis one is a free one. I believe you have a $20 T-shirt that they can buy, a camp shirt that they can buy. What else you want to add in terms of, if they go to the Memphis one, if they go to the Nashville camp, what can they expect in those two cities?
Yeah, actually, we also changed the Nashville camp to August 1st start time because we knew the public school system.
Gotcha.
Yes, we changed it. I would have said to get some skill work, just be up and close enough to players. I want to give back. I want to give back to the game, not as long as, just have them the ability just to see me up close and personal. Because, kids don't always get to see an NBA player asking questions. We get to compete with them. So, you might see me hopping in drills, competing with the kids, as well as giving them game. Out of Nashville, I have some also former Vandy players, some pros just come back as well. So,
Nice.
I think it should be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Vandy's got some NBA dudes. Yeah. Vandy's got some dudes that came out there. I remember I did a story, Scotty, you remember the one I did with Jerry Stackhouse, and we were just talking through all the names, all the dudes that have come out of Vandy recently, and they got some dudes. So that should be a fun time. I'm sure. Yeah, that should be a good time.
What is the age limit? Is there a limit? Like, is 38 too old for the camp, or can I fly in for that?
We could have as a counselor. You might be able to go in to get into some drills. I don't know about competing with other kids though. But.
I told you, DeMichael, Scotty Pippen Jr. knows about my game. He knows how to be a counselor at his camp. No, in all seriousness, we're excited to have Scotty Pippen Jr. here with us to start off this Monday edition of Locked On Grizzlies. And Scotty, it has been a busy summer for the Memphis Grizzlies, as you, of course, are aware. The Desmond Bane trade being the biggest piece, but some players have come, some players have gone. I kind of look at, obviously we only have about 10 minutes with you here. I'm looking at the overall feeling, the vibe, if you will, of the moves. And to me, a lot of it says that the team has mentioned how you've built your game. You had a really strong season, a really strong playoffs. When the team was depending on you, you did a phenomenal job in the postseason run there against the Thunder. So how do you see the team's roster kind of shaking out? How much have you followed along, and how excited are you to play alongside the new pieces, perhaps your role moving forward with this new look roster that the Grizzlies are as they retool, so to speak.
I'm super excited. I feel like all the moves are really good for me personally, and I think as well for the team. I've been working on my game a lot, and I feel like this is probably the best I've ever been. So as far as my confidence, I feel through the roof. I'm ready for the season to get started. I feel like all the guys are as well. Just talking to the guys, a lot of excitement. Ty Jerome was just in Vegas with the team, so I was able to chop it up with him a little bit. KCP as well. So just seeing those guys and talking to them, welcoming them in, and just seeing them work a little bit with the coaching staff and stuff like that. So I feel like everyone's excited. I feel like this is our year. Last year we kind of started hot and then kind of took a little dip. So this year I feel like we're all excited and ready to get to it.
I feel like for me, Scotty, the thing that I paid attention to is y'all make these off-season moves. It's like the emphasis on the defensive side. And, I'm watching every game, and there were times you be guarding Kevin Durant, you be guarding the point guards. Like, what's this going to be like for you now that you see y'all got Contagious Caldwell-Pope, you draft Cedric Coward, who's projected to be a strong wing defender, and you add Jemai Meshack and these type of guys who are defensive minded to kind of take a little bit of the pressure off of a Jalen and some of those guys. Like, what do you think that's going to be like now when you can share the floor with those guys and kind of combine your defensive intensities together? What would that look like?
I think like our GM said, Zach, we need to have more dogs, and I feel like that's exactly what we did. So getting more defensive guys, I feel like takes a little bit of stress off me. I probably don't have to guard guys, way taller than me, but if I have to, I can. So I'm excited about that because it just makes it harder for teams to score on us because they can't try to get me off the main players and stuff like that. So I'm excited about this team. I feel like we all could guard, and that just makes it harder for teams to compete with us.
We're talking here with Scotty Pippen Jr., Memphis Grizzlies guard, has a wonderful camp coming up in the next week or so, both in Memphis and in Nashville. So make sure you're checking that out. If you haven't already signed up, make sure you're signing your camper up for it.
The website is www.morethanbasketball.the/SPJ camp. It's basketball, the brand/SPJ camp.
Appreciate that, partner. We'll get you out of here on this, Scotty. We know you're a busy man. Obviously, another major change, the head coach, right? You had a chance to play, of course, for the former coach Taylor Jenkins. Tuomas Isolo was an assistant on his staff. Then he ascended to the interim role, and now, of course, the head man, head honcho. You mentioned being out there in summer league, obviously interim period to close out the regular season and during the playoffs. What are you most excited about? Any early conversations? I know you can't, share everything with us, but things that you're looking forward to with Tuomas Isolo becoming the head coach moving forward.
I would just say the whole process of him becoming a new head coach. I feel like a little bit last year he kind of got thrown into a difficult situation with the scheduling. Also, like when he took over the team, he wasn't able to really implement his offense and his schemes as much because we already had been taught so much until that point. So I would just say seeing Tomas with full summer, full preseason training camp, and just seeing his system play out. Me and him have talked a lot about pick and roll, and I feel like that's one of my strengths. So being able to get a season with him, working on that, working with Zach Edey, working with some of the bigs, has been huge in my development. And, I feel like I'm excited about that.
Most definitely. I got one more for you, Scott. I got one more before we let you go here. You're losing, Dez, you lose Luke. That's two of your best 3-point shooters. You shot the ball well last year. A couple other guys, Santi, shot a bunch of 3-pointers last year. What do you make of kind of the way that will look differently now that you don't have a Dez and Luke? But of course, you drafted some guys who could shoot a bit. I'm sure you've seen, and like when we were in Vegas, you saw them a little bit out there practicing in the games. What do you think that part of the offense? What can people expect? From a shooting standpoint, because some might say, "Oh, you lost this, you lost Luke. How are they going to be able to replicate, the way they shot the ball as a team?"
Yeah, I think whenever you lose a certain thing or you gain a certain thing, like you said, we gain defense. You're probably gonna, take from somewhere else. But I feel like we still could all shoot. I can shoot. Jalen Willis can shoot. Santi can shoot. Just to name a few guys, but some of us just got to step up and make more shots. Obviously, losing those two guys hurt, but there's more room for everyone else to step up. And, I feel that's what I've been doing, working on my game, working on me being a playmaker as well as a creator, just because I know that Desmond Bain is gone. I believe I can step into that kind of role. So I feel like guys just been working on their games, working on their roles. So
makes sense to me, and it makes sense, of course, to Grizzlies fans who are more than familiar now with the game of Scotty Pippen Jr. Scotty, thank you so much for being with us on this episode. We're going to put that website, DeMichael, if you would read it one more time for us here.
Yeah.
We're going to put the website in our episode notes as well, so folks can check out the camp one more time. DeMichael, what is it?
For sure. www.morethanbasketballthebrand.com morethanbasketballthebrand/SBJ camp. So there you go. Head over to there. Go check it out. And I'll be out there. I'll be out there.
There you go.
You know, Joe. Before you go, I gotta share this with you too, because I want to. One of the things I'm going to be paying attention to is how tough is he going to be on the kids? Like, is he going to play soft with them, or is he going to give them like the MJ treatment or whatever? Because we were at one of the camps earlier this year, and I had a basketball in my hand, and I walk up to Scotty, and I'm like, if I dribble in front of you right now, how long will it take you to rip the ball from me? You know what this man said? He said less than a second. Like he didn't even give me a second, Joe. He's a solid defender. He really good. But a second?
A second. It sounds like you might need to be a counselor there, or maybe you could be a camper. He can help you out. Scotty can coach you up a little bit.
DeMichael might need to hop in the drills, man. We might make him a camper. We'll see.
We've all been there, locking on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. Tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Gametime Zone Deal picks the best seats in your section for you. And with Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price, guaranteed.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast.
I'm on the record on the show as stating that Malcolm Brogdon, I think, could be a great fit for Minnesota. And I feel like I need to preface this. I've seen a lot of comments about, Brogdon's not Brogdon from when he was Sixth Man of the Year. I get it. He's not. But what he is a veteran guard who can do a few different things. He can play make. He can be a secondary creator. He can still score a little bit himself, even if, last year it wasn't a great shooting year, given the injuries, the team he was on, et cetera. We'll get into that. But I still think he is a good fit for Minnesota. And Jake Fisher feels the same way. Jake Fisher, Bleacher Report, if you are not familiar with his work, he does a great job there. He's been a few different places, I believe SI, Yahoo previously. He did a YouTube stream, like a 30-minute stream, I think Friday, maybe Saturday. And it was actually the last topic he covered. He talked about the Timberwolves as a logical landing spot for Malcolm Brogdon. I think the way he termed it was a, quote, really good situation for Malcolm Brogdon, the Timberwolves would be. And he also said the Wolves are a situation that Brogdon has been monitoring and one that the Wolves have checked in on. He also goes on to say he's not predicting this, but that he does think it's a good situation. I think he even says the best situation for Malcolm Brogdon. And he talks a little bit about, like, he acknowledges, Fisher does in his bit, that the Timberwolves do want Rob Dillingham and TJ Shannon to get reps, initiating offense, and find minutes for those guys and take some of the workload off of Mike Conley. But also he acknowledges that with the absence of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, there are minutes to go around, and just giving Chris Finch another option would be positive. And again, I want to acknowledge, I know there's Timberwolves fans that are like deathly afraid of Chris Finch getting his hands on another veteran that could take minutes away from Dillingham and TJ Shannon. I get that. But I also think, and I think I've said it this way before on the show, is like there's something to raising the overall floor of the roster. Like, if you can get more good players, you do it. And if Malcolm Brogdon comes in and doesn't, actually a pretty good example of this is just a couple of years ago. a year and a half ago, not even, when Monte Morris was acquired at the trade deadline. And I actually thought he was pretty good. He shot over 40% from outside the arc for the Wolves. The defense wasn't great. He clearly was not over the hamstring injury he'd suffered in Detroit the 6 months prior to coming to Minnesota, or 4 months prior, whatever it was. And Chris Finch ultimately was like, all right, well, I'm going to give some of these minutes to Jordan McLaughlin. And then it was like, all right, doesn't always work, whatever the matchup is. And obviously McLaughlin's he wasn't like a rookie second-year guy. He was more of a veteran, but somebody Chris Finch trusted. But that was an example of the front office acquired Monte Morris to be the backup point guard. And ultimately Chris Finch was like, no, we're not going to do this. I mean, go back earlier in that same season. In fact, the two guys that were traded for Monte Morris, Shake Milton and Troy Brown Jr., both of those guys fell out of the rotation when Chris Finch was like, yeah, this isn't working. And just last year, like, Joe Ingles was acquired, and he was in the rotation for all like 5 or 6 games before it was like, all right, Joe doesn't have it. We're going to just trim this rotation back a little bit. We're going to rely a little bit more on Nickeil Alexander-Walker to initiate we're going to rely more on Julius Randle to play point forward and to initiate a bit with the second unit when Ant's off the floor. And those are all adjustments that Chris Finch has made. And so I would posit that it's not simply that Chris Finch, doesn't like Rob Dillingham or doesn't trust, whatever. Like, I think it's just as much like, clearly there was a reason why he wasn't trusting Rob Dillingham. And early in the season, TJ Shannon wasn't getting as much run, right? Like, there's multiple factors in every situation. And the coaches are the ones that see the film room. They see the walkthroughs. They see the shoot-arounds. They see the practices there in training camp. They see summer league. They know all of these things in the behind the scenes and how these guys are developing. We're going to talk a little bit later about Pablo Prigioni staying in Minnesota, but that's something like John Krasinski called this out on X, that Prigioni spent a lot of time with Rob Dillingham over the last year since they drafted him. Like, the Wolves are invested in developing Rob Dillingham. I don't think them signing a 32-year-old, been hurt a lot the last 2 or 3 years, Malcolm Brogdon, is necessarily going to get in the way of developing Rob Dillingham, and by extension also then TJ Shannon. Although I would argue, if they sign Brogdon, given what we saw from TJ Shannon in Summer League and given what we think we know about what the Wolves think about TJ Shannon as a player, I don't know that TJ Shannon would need to worry about losing minutes to Malcolm Brogdon either. So I think what Malcolm Brogdon would bring to the table is another veteran creator that you could trust. Yes, he's only played in 63 games, I think, over the last 2 years. He's been hurt a lot. The Portland year, he was still recovering from the injury that he had in Boston, and Portland wasn't a competitive team 2 years ago. In 39 games, he still averaged 16 points a game. He still shot 41% from three. The defense obviously started to slide, but again, not a competitive team. Last year, he wasn't even that good. He really struggled in just 24 games. We're talking a quarter of a season, barely a quarter of a season with Washington, a really non-competitive team. And the three-point shot was awful. There probably wasn't a whole lot of motivation there on the part of Brogdon. I mean, there wasn't motivation on the part of the Wizards as a whole. So, like, I get it. So all that to say, like, the only real concern for me, yeah, he's going to be 33 this year. He turns 33 in December, and he's been hurt a bunch. But I think when he plays, like, if you're really worried about those 24 games with Washington last year, I guess fine, be worried about that. But I would say the body of work for him, even still just 2 years ago with Portland, in a half season, scoring 16 a game on a bad team and shooting 41% from three. And even though the defense has slid a little bit, by the way, it's not like he was ever like an all-world defender. He was very good in his prime defensively. Wasn't that the last couple of years? But given the scheme the Wolves, or given being part of a much better defensive machine than Portland and Washington in the last 2 years, having Rudy Gobert in the paint and just the motivation factor, I think Malcolm Brogdon would bring a lot more to the table. As a passer as well, he could play point guard. He could play off the ball. Again, for his career, we're talking about a guy that is 39% from three. And the year in Boston when he won Sixth Man of the Year, he was 44%. Just a couple of years ago from three, and that's across 67 games. And again, if you're worried about the Dillingham minutes, like, Brogdon has never played, except for his rookie season, when, by the way, he did win Rookie of the Year back in 16-17 with Milwaukee. That's the only season in his entire career that he's played more than 67 games. So is Malcolm Brogdon going to get hurt next year? Is he going to sit back-to-backs? Yeah, probably. That's very likely. But that is also another reason why Rob Dillingham is going to see run, or TJ Shannon and Jalen Clark will still see run. So if you're a team that's trying to win the finals, and the Wolves legitimately with a straight face could say that's our goal next year, you've still only got a couple more years in this Rudy Gobert window, perhaps only a couple more years in this Julius Randle window. So I think you can have it both ways. I don't think you can look at this and be like, yeah, they shouldn't add another good player because they want to develop Rob Dillingham. I just think that's a mistake. I think you have to look at this as we just want to raise the overall caliber of our roster. And it doesn't mean Rob Dillingham's not going to develop. It doesn't mean he's not going to still be a good NBA player at all. I just think it makes the roster better. And that's what you need to be trying to do at all times if you're a contending team. And that's what the Wolves are. So all that to say, Jake Fisher thinks it's a great fit. I've been saying this all summer. I think that Malcolm Brogdon is a top target for Minnesota, should be a top target. And if you're Malcolm Brogdon, I mean, Minnesota makes a lot of sense if you're trying to win. And again, Minnesota has the depth to be able to cover over a Brogdon injury. They're not bringing him in to be the sixth man of the year. They've got one of those in Naz Reid. They've got another potential candidate for sixth man of the year, Dante DiVincenzo. They don't need to rely on his scoring. They would rely on his facilitation, his catch and shoot ability. And sure, he can score a little off the bench if you need him to. But I think the combination of those things make him a really attractive target for Minnesota. All right. I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, the Wolves bench, more specifically the lineups that Nickeil Alexander-Walker thrived the most in last year with Minnesota. We'll talk a little TJ Shannon and also some of the characteristics of Shannon, Jalen Clark, Rob Dillingham that could be areas where the Wolves could improve upon what were Nickeil Alexander-Walker minutes in the past.